You're not up on that stage as an individual artist or performer, like providing your interpretation. You are there to reflect what we did in lessons so that my colleagues know I'm doing my job right.
You can see you're outnumbered here.
Welcome back to an episode of The Rogue Academic. We are going to be doing something a little different today. This was an idea that I cooked up with a friend of mine that I think you guys will find pretty entertaining. Much of what this podcast is about is bucking the norm, and some of the norms in my area of study, of which is of course music, are interesting, a little archaic. And so one of the things that we wanted to highlight was this practice of playing for a jury. Musicians of all types have to go through this process, and it is as it sounds. You prepare a piece and you play it for a panel of professors, including your main professor, and maybe 2 or 3 others, and they give you a grade. This is all fine and dandy most of the time. Like, it's a decent enough way to objectively grade someone's preparation and performance. But every now and again, it goes awry. It goes like really off the rails. And those comments kind of come across as mean tweets. I think that's a Jimmy Fallon thing. And that was my friend Brandon's idea. He was like, oh my gosh, we need to do a show on mean tweets. But instead of mean tweets, share some of the comments that we've gotten on our juries in the form of mean sheets, because you get a jury sheet at the end of your performance. So this episode is mainly for my music folks out there, just to kind of pull the curtain back and say, see, it's not so bad, or hey, not everyone gets perfect scores all the time, although one would think that this would be a simple process for most people, but it's not. I've sat on these juries myself as a faculty member, and I try to give constructive criticism. And I think in many ways, these folks are really thinking that they're giving constructive criticism. They really think they're helping. But what I did was I canvassed some of my online sources, i.e. the Facebook group and many friends of mine, to see if there was anyone comfortable sharing some of the sillier or more outlandish comments that they have gotten on their jury sheets. And I will, of course, share at least 1 or 2 of mine along the way, so that we can all have a good chuckle about the absurdity of this. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't share with you the absolute gong show that is the pile of mean sheets that Brandon got at his time at the University of Missouri, where he was largely regarded as burnout and completely worthless. And I love you, Brandon, but we both know that that's kind of how it was. And there is another episode, if you're just tuning in now, where Brandon and I talk about how, you know, I was sort of the person who did everything the right way, and he was sort of the person that did everything the wrong way. Ironically, we both ended up not really working in our industry in the ways that we had planned. So you should go check out his episode if you haven't already. But with no further ado, I was submitted a handful, a good basketful of commentary, and I picked and chose the more interesting ones just to discuss them and laugh at them. And these people have asked to remain anonymous. We don't want to, truly upset the apple cart here, or flip tables. I mean, I'm about both of those things. So if you've ever gotten comments like these, or if you hear yours, we're not here to out anybody, but we are. The purpose of this is to poke holes in a very archaic system. The thing about juries is that everyone takes them. So if you are in music lessons of some kind, you have to perform a jury, which makes sense if you are a performance major. It makes a slight bit of sense if you are an education major. You have to take your jury on your main instrument. Makes perfect sense. But then you also take juries on your not main instruments, which I had to do for at least 12 other instruments that I do not play, or at least do not play well. I'm delighted to say I play some better than others. I'm a serviceable like French horn player. I'm actually a decent percussionist, but there are some things that I shouldn't play these instruments in daylight, and you'll hear one of these comments down the road. But then there's things that don't make much sense at all, like having a performance person in an area judge your performance as though you were going to go perform on this instrument professionally, when it is in fact your secondary instrument, or worse, you're going to go be a music educator. Like, no one is expecting you to give like standing ovation level performance in front of the masses. And there are so many schools where music ed majors are held to this standard, which, as a performer myself, I get it. I think the thought is good. I think the application of that is bogus. Like, no one is standing in front of 70 middle schoolers giving, the performance of their lives, nor are they expected to. I think we could do a lot better by our ed majors in so many ways, but this is why I don't work in education anymore. So all that said, I have cherry picked a few of the funnier or quite more questionable comments so we can dissect them. And then there's a great segment of Brandon and I picking on his specific comments, and that stuff is comedy gold, man. So with no further ado, here are some of the best and worst of the anonymous comments that were submitted to me. Beginning. And I'll try to give you a little context for the player in the situation. So this first one comes from a horn student, and said horn student is an education major, or was an education major at the time. They have now gone on to become a band director and are doing awesome things. So yay, you, whoever you are. But the note read, as they submitted it to me, "We've been over this. You really should have taken notes, because what I'm hearing is not." Not what? I mean, excuse me. Like, could you maybe finish the sentence? Like, how is anyone expected to work from that? How do you do that? Because what I'm hearing is not. Is it not notes entirely? Like, was what was played just not music? They just went up with their French horn and decided to break dance? A little help there, friend. Or were they really meaning it's what I'm hearing is not what we talked about? And again, in these juries, you are pressed for time. You're trying to get these notes out like fairly quickly because no one wants to be there all day listening to everybody play their tunes. Like, it's a long day. But the least you could do is be a little bit more clear with your actual notes that you're giving this person, which is ironic because now they're making, a commentary about a person not taking notes, and then they're not giving good notes. Like, the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy. I know this professor, and it does not surprise me. So I don't want to, like I said, I'm not here to out anybody, but this type of comment would be very standard for this professor. At any rate, we've been over this. You really should have taken notes, because what I'm hearing is not. Maybe just take better notes, buddy. I don't know. Give better notes. All right. Next one. This one was really funny. And this is a common occurrence. Some type of comment to this degree is almost always on someone's jury sheet. But this one came across as extra, extra funny because this was for a vocalist. And vocalists are, for many, many reasons, and so are instrumentalists, at the sort of mercy of the folks that are playing piano for them. We call those people collaborative pianists. They are performers in their own right and should be respected as such. But what happens in a jury situation in many departments is that you sign up for a jury time, and then there's a staff pianist or several staff pianists who will go, oh, well, I will play for this and this and this, and that's when I'm available, because they themselves are professionals who have lives. So that's probably what happened in this situation. Now, I don't know any of the people at this school. This was, again, submitted to me and requested to be, remaining anonymous. But the comment was, "Do you even know your accompanist?" Okay. I'm going to go with probably not, because the aforementioned process keeps that from happening a lot of the time. Also, it doesn't really matter if you've had a coffee with your accompanist or not. You should be able to, at least make music with them and play the little black dots on the page. That's fairly mechanical. We hope it's musical, but as far as the process is concerned, it's 1 + 1 = 2 a lot of the time. Now, what I think this professor was really getting at was, do you know your accompaniment well? Do you even know what is going on around you? Because, of course, with no context here, I can only assume that they were meaning that the player was not sort of gelling in a musical way with their accompanist. But the way it comes across is like, do you even know them? Like, have you even had a beer with them? Like, do you what do they live for? Like, what do they dream of? I can guarantee you it is not playing piano accompaniments for vocal students at whatever university. Like, I'm pretty sure that when that person signed up to become a pianist or a collaborative pianist, they did not dream of accompanying X, Y, and Z vocal solos. I'm pretty sure. So anyway, we need to be more specific, friends. But that comment stuck out to me because it just came across as such a Valley Girl kind of comment. Oh my God, do you even know your accompanist? Probably not. You probably know the tune. You probably don't know your collaborative pianist. And we continue. Oh, this was classic. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this one came to me from a fellow brass player, and this is extra funny because this happens a lot. So your discipline has a set of standard repertoire. For anyone who's out there listening that's not a musician anyway, I apologize if I'm over explaining, but your discipline has a set of standard repertoire that everybody knows, and we know it really, really well. There's, you're going to be hard pressed to play something in front of someone who studies your discipline that they don't already know. And if it's the person that, you study with, they of course know the piece really well. But as stated, the jury is made up of people from different disciplines. So you might have a brass person, you'll have several brass people, right? Tuba representative, a trombone representative, a trumpet representative, etc. Or in smaller schools, sometimes these juries are actually interdisciplinary. So you might have a violinist, or you might have a vocalist, things that are outside of their area. And so they often get scores so that they can at least follow along and know what you're supposed to be playing, right? But this comment was extra funny, because I would imagine that this person just did not know one end from the other on this piece or what was supposed to be happening. But the comment is, in measure 49, you should not opt for alternate fingerings, which tells me that this person at least has some concept of what they're looking at and hearing at the same time. They go on to say, oh, no. That was it. In measure 49, you should not opt for alternate fingerings. But the punchline here is that the notes being played and being accused of being played with alternate fingerings, in measure 49 of that particular piece, that was a rest. That was a rest. That person was not even playing. So, and the other thing that really struck me about that comment is that you're also implying that this person who is studying this instrument doesn't know their fingerings. For any non-musician out there, that's like saying you don't know that, you're supposed to stop at a stop sign. It's that baseline level of logic. Again, zero context of what the department is like and what this person might have been like or any of that, because, again, anonymous. But you probably shouldn't give critique of how a person is using alternate fingerings in a rest. And again, for non-musical people, a rest is when we don't play. So they were giving commentary as though something was happening, and oh my God, the layers of ignorance on that particular comment are just Mwah! Chef's kiss, whoever that was. Oh, I hope you reconsider the way that you do juries from here on in. Okay. So, this is another good one. Okay. So again, education majors are not always held to the same performance standards as performance majors. I think that seems reasonable, right? If we're going to be up in students, we should play our instruments well, but no one's expecting you to give, your swan song every single time you pick up your instrument, let alone anyone else's instrument. So the comment is, would you play this way at Carnegie Hall? Said to an education major at a small state university. Now, I do know this person, and I do have some of the context here. And it's not to say that small state universities don't do well enough to play at Carnegie Hall. I mean, frankly, if you just pay them enough money, they'll let you play there. But the implication is, this performance just isn't up to snuff enough for me, let alone Carnegie Hall. Why would you bother us with such a terrible performance of your piece? Blah, 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 blah. And I think this just outlines the disconnect of discipline, or philosophy. Philosophy is a better word. It outlines the dissonance here between the conservatory way that we go about teaching musicians in universities versus having an education department, which should, in my opinion, not be judged by those same standards. Like, if you aspire to perform professionally, then you should be judged as such. I think that's perfectly reasonable. If you aspire to stand in front of teenagers and go, that mezzo forte happens on beat 2, why can't you count? That's a very different thing. So, I think that comment comes across as pretty ignorant, and also very uppity. Like, no, not everyone aspires to be the top of the 1% of their instrumental or vocal or whatever discipline. But there are professors in universities for whom that has never been an option. Like, as in, they would never think that someone would go to college to think that they're anything but that. They're sort of delusional in that way. They think that everyone going to college thinks that they're going to be like this groundbreaking, incredible professional musician, when in fact, a lot of people are going to college because they're just going through the motions, or their parents told them to, or society told them to, right? So the lack of perspective, it's the lack of perspective for me. Yeah, that's an ed major. Please get over yourself, professor person at small state university. Like, come on. All right. And before we get to the actual Mean Sheets session that I did with my friend Brandon, this one is, I'm just going to go out there and tell you, this is a comment that I got. And I got this comment from a professor who I revere, who is a professional low brass person and had the best of intentions with the comment. But I love this story because I think it outlines just the generosity of his teaching, but also like the fact that he knew the reality of the nature of education versus performance. So I, in my first degree, was a music ed major. And a music ed major at that time, I don't know how things are run these days, because, woo, Lord, education is just chaos. But back in my day, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, education majors were made to learn all the instruments. So at my university, you had to learn that instrument you had to pass a proficiency on that instrument at an 8th grade level. That's about as hardcore as they ever made you perform on that instrument. And so, being a brass player, I was like, I've got all this brass stuff licked. I'll be fine. I play the crap out of my trumpet. Everything else, I play the hardest brass instrument there is, because I'm a trumpet player and I'm an egomaniac, and that is how I view the world. The trumpet is the hardest, most intense thing, and everything else is silly. I don't really think that anymore. But when I was, let's see, that would have been, I think 2004. Yeah, so I was just out of my teen years. I was in my very, very early 20s. I think I might have been 19 or 20. on the dot. But anyway, so all that is to say that my worldview is a little bit different than it is now. But I did do my due diligence, and I did practice my butt off to get good at trombone and tuba. Now, trombone wasn't all that bad. For me, the whole slide thing versus fingerings thing, that was very strange. I got the whole concert pitch, bass clef thing. Like, I've been reading music my whole life. So, like, none of that was hard for me, except I just had to parse out this information that was just a little bit askew of what I would be used to reading, right? The tuba, on the other hand, was a challenge for me because that mouthpiece took up my whole damn face. I mean, like, all of it. Bottom of nose to middle of chin. I was lucky I could get a sound out of the thing. And to add insult to injury, I had to do my proficiency on a sousaphone, not an actual tuba, because my school did not have the resources to give everybody a concert size B-flat tuba. They didn't even have the resources to give everybody an F tuba, which would have been so much happier for me because it's smaller. And anyway, so I beat myself up trying to play this instrument because I wanted to be a band director so bad, and I had it in my head that, like, if I could not play the tuba, I would be a terrible band director and nothing would ever come of my band directing career, and it would just be a wash, and I'm just useless because I had really, really, really bad mental, like, health expectations of myself at the time. I was just really, really hard on myself, like so many education majors are. Now, that said, this professor had been in the business for a long, long time. He is and will forever be one of the most influential professional musicians with whom I've ever worked and been grateful to be taught by. So I can't say enough good things about said professor. But so I got to my tuba proficiency, which, again, to set the scene, I was dragging a sousaphone in the snow in February across campus to then assemble the sousaphone, because that's part of it. Like, you have to actually be able to put together the instrument and show that you understand, like, how it should be adjusted, because there's all these little bits and bops and things that make it, like, sit okay on your face. And I got all my goodies out. And I genuinely don't remember what piece I had to play. I think it might have been simple. I think it might have been like Hot Cross Buns or Mary Had a Little Lamb. Like, I think the bar was low. But I remember getting to the end of the exercise or exercises. I think there were some scales too. And just like having the mouthpiece covering my mouth so that, my professor could not see, like, how sad I was, but also how completely, like, exasperated I was by this massive instrument. I mean, a sousaphone, for those of you who don't know, is the big fancy, like, well, it's not fancy, but the big tuba that sits on your shoulder that wraps around your whole body. They dot the I in Script, Ohio with the sousaphone. Like, that's what I'm talking about. I was like 140 pounds, maybe, like, soaking wet at that point in my life. Like, I had no business hoisting a 50-pound instrument over my shoulder to play it. And I just remember just being, like, totally distraught, but then, like, distraught and exasperated. I think that those are good words to describe how I was feeling by not being able to do the simplest of tasks on a just obscenely, like, Seussical-esque instrument. I was so mad at myself. And my professor came over after the jury. Well, like, after I'd finished playing. And he was just like, Lexie, I need you to take a breath. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I also need you to promise me something. What do you need? What do you need from me, sir? And he said, please promise to never perform on a tuba in front of your students. And I was like, gladly, I will never, ever, I cross my heart and hope to die that I will never, ever perform on tuba in front of my students. I will never do that. And he's like, I think as long as you do that, you'll have a very successful career as a band director. And I was just like, I mean, it was so painfully true. Like, there was no denying the fact that I cannot play the tuba to save myself. But also that, like, fundamentally, I would be a bad example of what a tuba should sound like. I mean, if you took a sheep and shoved it, like, maybe head first into a wood chipper. Like, it was just, I couldn't even get a good sound on a mouthpiece that was so cavernous that it took up my whole head. And so I just thought that was like the most honest, kind way for him to say, you're terrible at this, but you don't need to be good at it. I'm going to pass you in the class because you know how to put together the instrument. You know how to make a sound on it. You could tell someone about the fingerings and the clef and all of that stuff. But please don't ever make those sounds in front of another human ever, expecting them to think that is how a tuba should sound. And so I solemnly promised to never play tuba in front of my students ever again. So mean and funny. Those are some of the mean sheets that were kindly submitted to me over the course of the last few months. If you are listening and you want me to do another episode like this, or if you have more scathing, more ignorant, more silly commentary out there, please do send those to me. I would love to read them, and I would love to share them if you're comfortable with the world. On this podcast, because the purpose of this is, of course, to laugh at ourselves, right? The other side of it is to poke holes in an archaic practice that needs to be re-examined in many cases. Not all performers are the same. Performers who seek to perform for a living should not be judged by the same, metrics as an education major, and vice versa. Let alone people that are performing or playing an instrument that is secondary to them. Like, we need to meet students where they are and take into account what their actual goals are before we start making snide comments about what they're doing and how they're doing it. Or, God forbid, like, if you don't play the instrument or sing the part that the person is performing, maybe don't comment on what they should be doing in measure 49. Like, get it together, people. This whole practice needs to be re-examined, and I really hope that we as a society do better by our students in the future, although not all comments are bad. These are just the ones that came across as particularly out there. So if you have comments that you would like to submit, please do. I am available at Lexie at lexiethetrumpeter.com or Lexie at therogueacademic.com. Either way, those will find me. I would love to hear about them. And with no further ado, I'm going to turn this over to the session that I did with my buddy Brandon. These are, like I said, comedic gold, and I hope you enjoy them. Here's Brandon. So this is a new little segment that I have to give Brandon credit for inventing, because we as musicians have all been there, but I think this is actually bigger than that, because we've all gotten shitty performance reviews regardless of our actual job. So in the context that we're talking about today, this is like music majors. We get evaluated every semester on what we're playing and how we're playing it by a jury of our non-peers, i.e. our like respective faculty. I mean, it is a lot like being put on trial. Let's be honest. And so
a jury.
in the style and in paying homage to Jimmy Kimmel and his mean tweets, we are proud to present Mean Sheets, where we dissect and make fun of the absolutely shitty comments that professors leave because they think they're never going to see the light of day. And, well, I have other plans. So, kick us off, Brandon. What are we starting with?
Low range, unfocused and airy. Sound is fairly bright. You need to spend more time with the C trumpet so that it is a second nature to you rather than an exception. You continue to improve, but I think you are capable of even more.
Is that a T.S.
My low
Eliot
range
poem?
was unfocused scenario. That's like totally fair.
Like, no, seriously, is that a T.S. Eliot poem or is that critique? I'm not sure. Like, was she writing a haiku or he or whoever the fuck that was? Like, where, what? What am I supposed to do with that?
You know what I've never had to do since this?
Play sea trumpet?
Play the sea trumpet.
Shock.
It
No one
turns
is
out it is
shocked.
actually an exception.
God. Oh, Jesus. You know,
All right,
and
here we
what's
go.
funny about that is just like, I think, didn't that come from like the horn professor?
I don't super remember. Probably.
Okay, but said horn professor is a specialist on high horn. So like she just spends her whole
Oh.
day listening to high notes all day. So she probably thinks that all low notes sound unfocused and airy. I mean,
my low road notes are unfocused and airy because I don't give a fuck about them. But
okay,
yeah,
so she
like,
was right. I mean, like if it's the professor I'm
It's
thinking of, and
fair.
I'm not saying that she was wrong. Like I think that's a good
this is the
objective
fairest one.
observation.
Yeah, this is the fairest one so far. It's just also like so.
It was so poetic. It was like she was trying to wrap up her critique in like this beautiful sort of like lovely little package for you. You know, like I'm going to roast you, but I'm going to do it nicely. Aw.
Which isn't that kind of like the whole thing about art school? You go pay to get roasted somewhat nicely sometimes.
That's exactly it. Kelly Rossum is one of my really good friends and fabulous fucking trumpet player. But and I think I mentioned him in episode 0. But like I was having like a time in school, and I like sat down with him, and I was like, dude, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. Like my mental health is such shit right now. I don't think I could survive this. And he's like, well, Lexie, I'm really sorry to break it to you, but you're paying them to fuck with you, so get it together. And I was like, oh my God, are you serious? And he was right.
We
you
are
know,
kind of,
yeah.
we are kind of paying them to fuck
Yep,
with
I'm
us.
kind of paying them to fuck with me. All right, next one.
All right, here we go. Brandon, you forgot how we were playing the opening and started playing too detached, which is not too bad as long as you keep the air in motion. Towards the third or fourth line, it stopped working. Allegro. Good start, but then you took off. Obviously, you don't know the music that well. Keep practicing diligently and have a wonderful break.
That's fun that he thinks that you practice. Like, at least he gave you, like, the benefit of the doubt there.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're a total douchebag who didn't do shit, but, you know, have a nice break. Like, that's how that comes across to me. You know what I
A
mean?
little
Like,
bit.
okay, right, whatever.
The active word, right, is we. You forgot how we were playing the opening.
Like, he
Brother,
wasn't
you
playing
were
a
on
duet
that
with
stage
you.
with
Like, he
me.
wasn't on stage with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what the hell,
And
man?
like, so like it's this idea of ownership, right? I think that kind of comes across, and I'm just gonna like hard read guess if this happens to everybody who has to do a jury, but like there's this element of you are up there to represent me as your professor, right? You're not up on that stage as an individual artist or performer, like providing your interpretation. You are there to reflect what we did in lessons so that my colleagues know I'm doing my job right.
Oh God, that's so true though. Like, and I
And
worked
like,
with
to be
those
real,
people.
It kind of sucks. It kind of sucks for the professors too, like dealing with that, like sort of like internal social pressure. Like that's gotta be, I don't know, tough to.
Okay, but let me
I don't
offer
know.
the other side of that though, because I've been on those jury panels as the professor.
That's what I was thinking.
And so, like, the other side of that is when your students consistently outperform everyone else's and they have no bad things to say, then they're like, they're scraping for things to just get you thrown under the bus, right? Like, I
Like
mean,
a
I'm not
fucking
saying that all
Pokemon
my
battle,
students
right?
were fantastic, like, but they did do what I told them to do for the most part, and each one of them succeeded in their own way. And there was like one professor that was like, holy cow, like, wow, they've made like a lot of progress, that's really cool. The other two guys on the panel were just like, I can't believe that this is actually your student. You must have done something else. You must have given them other resources. And I'm like, yeah, I did give them
You
other
cheated.
resources. It's called fucking recordings, man. They did what I told them to do, and now they don't suck. Congratulations. I did my job, and you're
That's an
mad?
awesome segue into my next mean sheet
Oh, hit
from
me.
the time that
Yeah,
I
let's
cheated
go.
on my jury by just listening to the recording.
Shit. Okay.
Brandon, this is probably the best I've heard you perform. I wish you practiced this diligently all the time. I can't even imagine how good you could have been as a player. It is never too late to get serious. Start practicing now. P.S. As I told insert name of my girlfriend at the time, currently wife, you are overpaying for a lousy accompaniment. You never learn, though. And you know what's awesome about this?
I mean,
Practice this diligently all the time. I did
oh,
not practice.
oh, I know
I
you
did
didn't
not
practice.
practice
We
this
both know
piece.
you never practiced. You what?
Yeah. So, like, I'm looking at the musical selection number. What the fuck is the Neruda C trumpet? Or is that what that says?
Yeah, the Neruda. We fucking hate that piece.
I don't remember what that sounds like at all.
It's
But
just,
apparently that's what I played.
yeah, it's actually a
And
horn solo, I think.
I had no connection to this piece of music. I did not care about it whatsoever. And there's, I had my lesson the week before jury, and I'm just like fucking slogging through this thing, like basically sight reading it. Like it is objectively garbage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get addressed down on that about not taking my jury seriously and how it's in a week, and there's no way I'm going to be able to like recover where I am now on this to something that's acceptable.
Like, all
Like, all
I
right,
heard
whatever.
in that critique
Whatever.
was just like passive aggressive, like stabs at what a piece of shit you are for not practicing. Like, that's what I took away.
Well, because what I did from that lesson where I like actively, objectively could not play the piece, I did a little sort of experiment on myself where I was like, okay, I can't practice my way out of this. What if I just listen exclusively to this piece of music for an entire week? And I did it. I did not listen, like, other than like hearing fucking shit on the like radio when you're at the store or whatever, like diegetic music can't escape. I listened to nothing but the recording of this, I guess, Neruda concerto.
Yeah, sure.
And then I just went and played it. And then I just went in and played it on jury day. And apparently it was the best I've actually. There's another one over here on that same.
Oh my god. Yeah, and I love how he like roasted your accompanist too. It's just like, oh,
Well,
it wasn't bad enough that you suck. Your accompanist is also terrible. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, here's another one from that. Say, oh yeah, Neruda Concerto 1. It's the best I can remember you sounding, best overall tone, style, accuracy, etc. This trill needs work. And then, yeah, holy shit, you needed a better accompanist. I think you could have performed even better if the accompaniment were more solid.
Oh my god.
Here's the thing about that particular accompanist, right, back in the day,
Uh-huh.
is that we figured out, amongst the trumpet studio, we figured out that for whatever reason, there's this one grad student who is a piano accompanist that the faculty just like had this beef with for whatever reason. So we deliberately hired her to take the heat off ourselves.
I love that.
And I have physical ink evidence sitting next to me that it was successful in that the ink occupies 50% of the paper.
Oh my god.
I mean, that's a statistic.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. That is the funniest shit ever. I mean, way to game the system and win. Like, that's just
game,
working
right?
smarter,
Know
not
the
harder.
game you're playing.
Hell yeah.
College is a game.
Oh,
College
no, totally is.
There's points, there's rules, there's refs, there's winners, and there's losers.
Yep.
It's a game.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No, there were like, and I'll share a similar game that I had to play at IU of all things. So like, it's no real mystery that like a lot of my career is spent in the commercial field, right? But like for my doctorate, I had to do like serious art music. And so even though my teachers were working in the commercial like art music or commercial music field, I wanted to perform an instrumental version of Perfect Circle's Imagine, because I was very dedicated to doing political commentary in the form of art, and I wanted to do that as my closer. And Joey told me no. And he's like, nope, absolutely not. And I'm like, but why? It's like 2 minutes. I have like I have 90 minutes to fill, or 80 minutes or whatever it was.
Right.
And
it's a closer.
Yeah, it's a closer. Like, and I wrote the arrangement, and I hired a string orchestra. The string orchestra is going to be there anyway. And he's like, all right, here's the deal.
So it also openly demonstrates your musical competency.
Yeah, obviously. No. And so basically, here's the deal though. Here's what happened. So he's like, look, you have to make the preceding 78 minutes or whatever the fuck it was of this so undeniably good that it sells the last piece for all of us.
That you're legit away with it.
That you're getting away with it. And I was just like, okay, challenge accepted. So then I made them sit through all 26 minutes of the Shostakovich First Piano Concerto for String Orchestra. I deliberately picked like the longest piece ever with the least amount of work.
And learned it just to inflict pain.
Like, God, if that's the buy-in, okay. And
that's
I mean,
so good. That's
like
malicious compliance at its most beautiful.
That's right. And I mean, Joey would get a laugh out of this now because like he signed off on it, and it was a great recital. It's online, you can watch it. But like that was the whole thing. It was just like, you can't do this unless all this other stuff is in place. And I'm like, okay, well, if you say so.
Right.
So anyway, well, thank you for sharing your mean sheets with us. Appreciate your time, and look forward to more of these monthly. We're going to continue this as a series. So if you out there also have some mean sheets, whether they are jury sheets or performance evaluations, send them our way. The email is theroadtorogue@gmail.com. Thanks so much, and have a great day. And there you have it. A little walk down memory lane for the two of us, and a peek behind the curtain as to what really happens in music school. If you have some comments that you want to send our way, feel free to reach out to me directly, lexie@lexiethetrumpeter.com, and let me know what I can read for you. Let's do another episode. All that said, I just want to say a quick thank you to our underwriters, our supporters here at Hideaway Coffee. They kept us caffeinated for that whole diatribe. You can find them at HYDE Away Coffee of Fort Wayne, hideawaycoffee.com, and enter Rogue10 for 10% off your favorite roast. Thanks so much, and have a great day.